then when I started my home daycare, the first little boy I had, it was a real, real struggle. And I don't think you can appreciate it unless you were there. Like, even my own husband, like, I would tell him about my day, and he did not get it until he was home all day with us. And he was like, oh my goodness, like, yeah, I can see why you're so wound up. This little boy, I don't want to say it was a nightmare, but it pretty much was. He was only 2.5, and it wasn't like he was just a destructive, high energy boy. This boy was an opportunist who would wait for you to look the other way to attack another child. And I would have to take my kids to the bathroom with me. I would have to put Phoenix in his crib to protect him. It was really awful, and it was 8 months of this. And just the boy's energy, like, he came into the room and it was just like tense. Like, he was so wound up or so mad or something. And there was never a break from it. Like, even during his naps, he'd wake up every half an hour crying, screaming. When his mom would come pick him up, he would hit, kick, punch, scream at her. I'd have to put him in timeout because of the way he treated his mom. At timeouts in my place, he would scream from the top of his lungs like someone was murdering him for 2 to 3 hours. He would hit the floor, hit things, yell at a child if they walked by him. It was just an awful way to live, and in hindsight, I should have discontinued care for him a long time, within like 3 months. Nothing worked. Rewards, discipline, taking things away, talking. He was the type of child that one time he came to see his mom at the door, and he pushed Phoenix into the closet and hurt Phoenix. And, his mom showed him, look what you did. This is what you did. You need to be nice and gentle. Say sorry. He's like, sorry. Phoenix calms down. Phoenix walks away. He goes and does it again. Right? Like, pushing kids into the pool. Like, just push, push, push. Attacking kids physically all day long, nonstop, and almost enjoying it. It was just awful. Anyways, from that situation, I developed my anxiety attacks. I never really talked too much about it, but all of a sudden I started getting ocular migraines. I didn't know what those were at first. Started getting numbing in my face. I started getting panic attacks. Didn't know what was going on. Freaking out. My blood pressure skyrocketing because I'm just sitting it was like for 8 months I was in a state of fight or flight, adrenaline rushes all day long. Long story short, I tried to battle it and calm down my anxiety on my own. It didn't work. After suffering with panic attacks for about 6 months, I finally went on some medication and saw a psychologist to help deal with it, to bring myself down, because part of it was my mind, but the other part was just my body wouldn't let me. So when I went on those, my blood pressure went down again. Fast forward to now, like, I was only on the meds, I don't think a year. No, like maybe 6 months, and I got pregnant. As soon as I found out I got pregnant, I went off. I weaned myself off in 3 days because I didn't want to be on them. And now, here we are. And I find that I'm not as bad as I am with my anxiety, but I'm not as good as I was in my other pregnancies and before. I try to stay calm. I try to relax. But I find that I can go from calm to stressed or anxious very quickly. Like, it doesn't take very much. And that's not healthy. And then when it comes to my blood pressure, like, I totally have white coat anxiety, like white coat hypertension, I think they call it. I'm so stressed out because I know how it feels to be labeled hypertensive. I know the consequences of being hypertensive, pregnant, and I don't want it. And the minute they put it on, I feel this rush of anxiety go through me, and my blood pressure is high. I have a cuff here because I've been taking it, monitoring it, because I also worked in neurology, so I know the effects of high blood pressure and ignoring it or being in denial about it. And I'm like, if I really am hypertensive, I need to be on medication. Well, here, it's high for the first few readings because I'm stressed. But as I relax, or my mind gets distracted, I'm watching TV or something, my blood pressure goes down. And before I was sick, it would go down to 111 over 72. Right now, because I'm sick, the lowest I'll get it is like 125 over 83. But it can be oh my word, it can be like 150 over 100, like when I'm anxious. Like it's high, concerningly high. So that's why the doctors want to keep a close eye on me all the time. And oh my word, but it's so frustrating because I'm just like, calm down, just calm down. You don't have to be stressed. You don't have to be worried about this. You don't have high blood pressure, but I don't know, it's not that easy to calm down. As my therapist said to me, resist and it persists. Sometimes you just have to go with things. So that's where I am today. I'm just trying to stay calm and relaxed. I take my blood pressure every once in a while, but I try not to focus on it. My doctor doesn't want me taking it at all. She said, don't even worry about it till like the 3rd trimester. But there's a part of me that wants to still, because if I go back next week and it's a high reading, I can say to them, well, it was 122 over 83 for me 3 days ago. Instead of being like, okay, you got to go on bed rest or to go on blood pressure medications. And it's like, well, if I go on blood pressure medications and I don't have high blood pressure, it's going to drop it too much. You know what I mean? So anyways, my blood pressure is like an ongoing frustration. It's all the women in my family are on blood pressure medication. I do think that if they change some of their things in their lifestyle, that maybe, because they could be sodium sensitive, they could be more active. But nevertheless, if you're not going to do those things, then you should be on the medication so that you don't have a stroke, right? Anyways, there you are. So now you know my history with it and why, salt and blood pressure and all that stuff always comes up in my conversations, and anxiety, and it's the medication I was on. You can be on during pregnant, but the baby can have trouble breathing and things like that after they're born. So I really don't want to be. I really want to stay off of it, and I haven't had panic attacks or anything like that. And I know for sure you can't be on it breastfeeding because they haven't done studies with. They assume that it's going to go through into your milk, and they haven't done enough studies. So I won't be on it until I'm done breastfeeding. But if I do find that my anxiety is taking over, then it's the same as, having like, not massive depression, but, postpartum depression or something like that. You need to take control of it, or it takes control of you, and that's not healthy for you or your baby. But my prayers is that I can at least breastfeed for at least 6 months and stay off of it. It's hard because your hormones are going up and down, but that's my goal. And then if I need to go back on my anxiety medication afterwards, then I will. Because I've learned to accept that, I have no judgment against anyone else who is on anything for psychological, neurological problems, but it's harder to accept when I'm on it because I'm an optimistic, happy-go-lucky person, and it's like, well, maybe not anymore. Or I am, but something's not right. I'll have to say, ever since Phoenix, I have never felt balanced again. You know how when your hormones finally adjust and you feel like, oh yeah, I'm back, right? I never had that with Phoenix, and I need to accept that I may never go back. I pray I do, and I want to. And when it comes to anxiety, there is a certain degree that you can control, but if it's something that's not working properly in your brain with chemicals and hormones and adrenaline, then you need something. You just do, and I've learned to accept that there's a certain amount that I'm responsible for and I need to take care of, and the other part is out of my hands. Just like if I needed glasses, if my eyes didn't work properly, I wear glasses, things like that. And when anxiety affects everybody around you in your everyday life, but then it also affects your other health concerns like blood pressure and things like that. Well, it doesn't pay to be stubborn, I guess. So anyways, that's my long story about blood pressure and anxiety, and hope that sheds some light into what I am facing with this pregnancy.